Hey guys, what is up? My name is Landon and welcome to the Jersey Zone. So today I'm going to be doing the Metro Division predictions for this upcoming season. I've already done two other prediction videos on the Pacific and the Central as well, so if you guys want to check them out, I'll leave the link to them in the description down below. But like I said in those previous videos, these prediction videos are just for fun. If you disagree with my standings, that's completely okay, not a big deal. I probably am going to get a lot of these predictions wrong because I usually do, and that's alright. These are just for fun. But anyways, let's get into the predictions here. So coming in at 8th place in the division, I do have the Columbus Blue Jackets. I don't think the Blue Jackets are going to be particularly awful this season. I see this division as being one of the best divisions in the NHL right now. I don't think the Pacific is that strong. The Atlantic is very top heavy in my opinion. It's basically this division here, the Metro Division, and the Central Division as well. Those are kind of competing for like the best divisions in the NHL, at least in my eyes personally. And for me, I think the Metro Division is just a little bit better. So I don't think the Columbus Blue Jackets are going to be that awful of a team, but they have sold off some guys like Atkinson. Jones is gone as well. They moved Foligno last season for the trade deadline as well, so they really have downgraded a little bit. They did bring in Jake Bean as well as Voracek as well, which I think will help them a little bit, but that being said, I still don't think they're a fantastic team, especially up front there. Although it will be interesting to see the team under a new coach. Obviously, Tortorella is now gone from the Columbus Blue Jackets, and I think a lot of last season, why they were so bad, was because of the fact that a lot of players were sick of Tort, so it'll be interesting to see kind of how they react to this new coach here, and it'll be also interesting to watch Patrick Laine as well. I know Tortorella kind of had him trying to play a defensive role, and that's why his numbers, at least in my opinion, were really not that great last season, so we'll see if the new coach kind of continues that, or if he decides to go, you know what, Laine, you're a very good goal scorer, just do that for us. Who cares? But yeah, even so, I don't think the Blue Jackets are going to be a fantastic team, and that's why I have them at 8th place. Coming in at number 7 in the division is the New Jersey Devils. Now, even though I have the New Jersey Devils in 7th place, I really like what they did in the offseason. They did lose Butcher, but they added Tatar, Hamilton, and Bernier as well, which I think are all really good additions. And I do really think this team might surprise some people this season, but just looking at the other teams, I really couldn't put them higher than 7th place. Like, I look at the Rangers, I look at the Flyers, I look at the Penguins, kind of teams like those, and I'm like, I don't think they're quite better than them yet, but, you know, if Hughes has a really good season this year, Sharon Govich maybe as well, that goaltending tandem I think is pretty good as well, so I don't know, like, I'm really iffy on them, and I think they could surprise some teams, but at the same time, I still don't have them coming up higher than 7th place, so we'll kind of have to wait and see how they do this season. At number 6 in the division, I have the New York Rangers, and I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of what the Rangers did. They moved out Buchnevich for Sammy Blais, which I don't think Blais is a bad player, but personally, I prefer Buchnevich. And then they also signed Barclay Goodrow and Ryan Reeves as well. And honestly, their additions just basically scream, hey, that Tom Wilson game that happened last season, yeah, we really didn't like that, and we're going to try and get stronger so that doesn't happen again. And it feels like ever since that game has affected every single one of their decisions moving forward. And it's really strange. Like, it was just one game in the middle of a season that was just the regular season. It really wasn't that big of a deal. I guess it was, towards the later half of the season. Either way, I really don't know if it was that big of a deal to basically change the entire kind of concept of your team. They really changed a lot since that game, and I just don't know if I completely agree with some of the moves that they've done. Maybe it works out for them. Maybe they get stronger and they get better and they make the playoffs. I would hope so. I like the Rangers a lot, so I hope that does happen. But just personally, I think they just downgraded a little bit. Coming in at number 5, I have the Pittsburgh Penguins, which means I do have them missing the playoffs for the first time in what feels like forever. Although, I guess technically in 2020, they did technically miss the playoffs because they lost in the play-in round against the Montreal Canadiens, but I don't know. I still kind of qualify that as the playoffs. They would have made the playoffs anyways in like a regular season, so I don't count that personally. So for me, it'll be the first time they've missed in a very long time, but I really don't think this has to do with any of their offseason moves. I mean, they basically lost McCann and Tanev. The big reason that I have them missing the playoffs is the injuries to start the season here. Gensel is currently on COVID protocol, and he has COVID, so we'll see how long it kind of takes him to recover from that, and hopefully he does recover soon. And then Crosby is dealing with an injury here. I think he's going to be out for like the first couple of weeks of the season, so hopefully he's not out for too long. And then it looks like Malkin is going to miss like the first 2 months of the season. So those are 3 really key injuries for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and I know they tend to do pretty well with injuries. Pittsburgh always seems to be like extremely injured all the time, but I think to start the season, that's really going to hurt them, especially with all those guys being out at the exact same time. That's really going to be tough for the Penguins, in my opinion. And their goaltending this season is going to be really interesting as well. Jari did not have a very good playoffs last season. We'll see how he kind of recovers from that, but yeah, just for me, with all those injuries, and I'm not a huge fan of their goaltending either, that's why I kind of have them missing the playoffs. And for another reason as well, the other reason is the team at number 4. It is the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, why do I have the Flyers above the Pittsburgh Penguins? Look at the Flyers goaltending. Why do you think that's better than the Pittsburgh Penguins? I kind of don't, although I do think Hart is going to have a bounce back season, and Martin Jones coming in is extremely interesting. He had a really rough time with the San Jose Sharks, so I could see him playing maybe a little bit better in front of the Philadelphia defense than he did in front of San Jose's defense. I think the Philadelphia defense is better than San Jose's, but the main reason why I have the Philadelphia Flyers ahead of the Pittsburgh Penguins is because since 2013, the Philadelphia Flyers have missed the playoffs and then made the playoffs, and then missed the playoffs and then made the playoffs. Guess what? Last season, they missed the playoffs. So, you know what? They're making the playoffs this season. Why not? I mean, it's a pattern going back 8 seasons, so until it breaks, I'm not going to question it at all. I'm just going to go with the flow here, and that stat was literally the reason why I have the Flyers over the Penguins. I was looking at both teams, and I couldn't quite decide. I was like, it can kind of go either way. I'm not really too sure. And then I saw that stat, and I was like, you know what? Screw it. It's the Flyers. The Flyers are getting ahead of the Penguins. They're making the playoffs. The Penguins aren't. So that's what it is. I have no other analysis on the team or anything like that. Their goaltending is going to have to be better, like I said, though. I will say that for sure. If they are going to make the playoffs, Hart really needs that bounce back season, as well as Martin Jones. Martin Jones needs to play a lot better. But other than that, that's the only thing I have on the Flyers. They're just on and off every single other year, so screw it. They're making the playoffs. For third place in the Metro Division, I have the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, I'll be honest, I really don't like what the Hurricanes did in the offseason. I think they really downgraded, in my opinion. They just made some really weird moves in the offseason. Last season, they were a really good team, but there's a ton of turnover for this season here. I mean, Geeky's gone to Seattle. Their entire goaltending has changed. They traded out Nedeljkovic for some reason, and Mrazek and Reimer are both gone. They also traded out Bean. Hamilton went to the Devils, so there's a ton of turnover for them with the offseason here. Now, they did bring in Ethan Bear, who I think is a good young defenseman, and their goaltending tandem is very interesting to me. So they have Freddie Anderson and Antti Ranta, who I think are both really good goaltenders. Anderson has not had a good past couple of seasons, mostly because he's been injured. If he's healthy, I think he's a really good goaltender, and the same thing with Ranta. If he's healthy, he's a really good goaltender. But they're two goaltenders who've had a ton of injuries in the past couple of seasons, so I'm really worried about that. I could definitely see at some point in the season where Freddie Anderson and Antti Ranta are both hurt, and they're both out, and they need to go to the third string goaltender. And I'll be honest, I don't even know who the third string goaltender is for Carolina. Let me look it up. I just looked at their cap friendly, and the only other goalie that I knew was Alex Lyon. So really, in my opinion, if both of these goalies get injured, it's going to be a really tough season for the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, that being said, you can say that with every single team. If both of their two goaltenders get injured, it's going to be extremely rough. But like I said, I feel like both of these goaltenders are extremely injury prone, and I'm just really concerned about that for the Carolina Hurricanes. I just really find it strange that they let Nedeljkovic go, and they let Bean go as well. Like, there were just some really strange moves, in my opinion, for the Carolina Hurricanes. I still think they're a good team, but I think they were better last season, and I think they definitely downgraded. At number 2, we have the New York Islanders, and they really didn't lose much. They basically just lost Eberle, as far as I know. Maybe they lost a couple of other guys, but that's the big name that I really saw. Obviously, he went to Seattle. And then they signed Parise and Chara, which I still find it strange that we don't know the terms yet for the Zach Parise contract. I don't know why. We know it is 1 year, but as far as I can see at least, I have no idea how much it's for. If it's league min, if it's like a couple mil, I have no idea. And I can't really find it at least, so that's a little bit strange in my opinion. But anyways, with the New York Islanders, for me personally, I think they're just an okay team. Like, I really don't think they're that good. They struggle a little bit on offense. They're very good defensively and in net for sure. And that really helps with Barry Trotz. Trotz is just such a good coach, man. He really gets his players to listen and to buy into his system. And his system is really heavy in defensive hockey. And it works for them, man. Personally, I don't think this New York Islanders team would be that good under a different coach, but under Barry Trotz, who, in my opinion, is the best coach in the league, they are fantastic, and they're an extremely good team. So I see them coming in at second place in the division here. I don't think they're a fantastic regular season team, but when the playoffs come, they ramp it up, and they ramp it up hard, and they're a very good playoff team. They were kind of really the only team that pushed Tampa in the last 2 seasons and kind of challenged Tampa there. So, like I said, in the playoffs, I think they're a very good team, but I just don't think they're as good of a regular season team, and that's why I have them coming in at second place. At number 1 in the division, I have the Washington Capitals, and I'll be honest, I probably have the least to say about the Washington Capitals. They really didn't do anything in the offseason. Even the players that they lost to the Seattle Kraken, Vitek Vanacek, I believe is how you say it properly. Hopefully I'm saying that right, but he even went to Seattle, and then just a couple of days later, and went back to Washington. So they really didn't lose anything. They basically stayed completely still in the offseason. The only thing that maybe is a little bit concerning is it looks like Backstrom might not play the start of the season here. They're kind of unsure about it, so that is something to watch with the Washington Capitals for sure. But other than that, like, they're a good team. Ovechkin is still an amazing goal scorer, and I do really hope that he passes Gretzky in goals here in the coming seasons. I think that would just be so much fun and so awesome. So I am really glad that he re-signed with Washington there and that he kind of gets a chance at doing that. But yeah, other than that, I really don't have much to say about the Washington Capitals. They're a good regular season team. They've struggled in the playoffs recently, but so have other teams as well. So who knows? We'll kind of see what happens, but just for me, I have them at first place in this division. But anyways, that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, make sure to leave a like and make sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure to follow me on my Instagram and my Twitter at the Jersey Zone YT on Instagram and at the Jersey Zone on Twitter. Links are in the description down below. But like I said, that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.